Welcome to the Cashing In on Creativity podcast with artist, author, and creative business consultant, Bruce Outridge. Let's get started making money with your unique talent. On with the show.
Hello, welcome to the Cashing On Creativity podcast. This is episode number 238. And today we're going to talk with Andrea Freeman, who is a business coach, on how you can scale your service business and how you can make yourself the most effective do. So stay tuned and we'll be right back. Hey folks, I got a book that I think you're going to love. It's called You're Not Done Yet. This is a book that I released in March 2020 and is a book that helps you figure out where you're going in life and figuring out some of the talents you got. Are you wondering what your purpose is for life? Are you wondering how to live your life to the fullest? Are you thinking that education is holding you back? Or maybe you just need to help focus your life with some of the values you've got. Why not merge your talent and your skills and make yourself an awesome life? I talk all about that in You're Not Done Yet. This is a book that is a real easy read. You can find it on Amazon, or you can go to you'renotdoneyet.ca. Enjoy the book, and I hope that it helps you to focus your life. All right, let me tell you about Andrea Freeman. She's a peak performance coach, and she's been doing this for a long time. She helps a lot of business and really enjoys working with business owners. She started her first business when she was 12 years old, her second one at 26, and her third at 31. So she's professionally trained as an educator and leadership development coach. She honed her entrepreneurial skills and scaled her celebrity event planning business to multiple six figures in annual revenue. Now she's on a mission to help service-based business owners realign their purpose, create greater financial freedom, fulfillment, and make a difference in the world. She has worked with clients in the events, holistic, lifestyle, tech, and fashion industries, and integrates mindset techniques with their business models to help them scale quickly. Clarity of purpose, increased revenue, and sustainable, soulful success are just a few of the benefits that her clients experience. So we're going to be talking to Andrea today. Had a great chat with her about scaling business and being the best you can be and all of those kind of things. Really fun to talk with, and I'm sure you're going to get a ton of information out of this conversation. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, on the line, I have Andrea Freeman, a peak performance coach, I think is what you are. How are you doing today, Andrea?
Hey there, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Good. You're in New York. New York. Is it as cold in New York as it is in Toronto right now? I think we're usually on the same.
I don't think it's as cold, but it is cold here.
Yeah. It's cold enough here. I'm actually sure. I don't turn the heat on because I'm in a building. It's either hot or cold, so I just leave it off until I'm freezing. So, anyway, I want to talk about you. We were connected through one of your team members, and I it's always fun when you get somebody whose audience is for creatives, which is what I am, an artist, and I'm a cartoonist. So tell me how you got into the personal coaching, especially for creatives, because we're a hard bunch to coach, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So I've been a lifelong entrepreneur. I launched my first business when I was 12 years old, and then I've just been marketing, monetizing ever since. There's been a bunch of iterations. I've been a catering company, an event planner. That's really where I tapped into my creative side and just a lot of design. And that business was very much propelled forward by my love for personal development. I worked with a lot of coaches. Right before starting that company, I had actually worked for a leadership development company. So I was a professional trainer. And so as I progressed through that business, I recognized that other creatives were really getting in their own way and not allowing themselves to thrive in their businesses and looking at themselves more as the thing they do, like the craft, right? I am an event planner. Yeah. I am a floral designer. I am fill in the blank of the thing that they do. and not really embracing themselves as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a CEO. And I wanted to be able to elevate the conversation that you can be that thing, and you can be, a really strong, thriving business owner. Yeah. So that's how it came to be.
So I'm interested because I was reading this in your on your website as well, that you've got you started a business at 12. I started a business at 12. I started a paper route at 12. I didn't start a business. So I'm interested to find out, are you able to say what those businesses were just to give people context, or are they secret? I don't know.
Yeah,
if you can't share, that's fine.
No secrets. When I was 12 years old, I was a Girl Scout, and my Girl Scout troop got certified. Everybody in the troop got certified as a babysitter from the Red Cross. We got like our CPR and all of that certification. And I just decided to go into business. I started at the time. I mean, everybody didn't have a computer in their home at that time. So I went to a neighbor who I knew had one and spent a Saturday over there figuring out how to, I think we were like coding in DOS. This was like back in the day, and figured out how to make some flyers, printed them all off, and went door to door and started saying, I'm in business. This is what I do. Call me if you need anything.
Oh, you must have had good kids then, because I started that at 12, and trust me, I did not take that business any further than the neighbor across the street, which was enough for me, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was a lucrative business, but I had that idea to I could take something that I want to do and make money at it. I don't know. That was always there for me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. And then at 28, what was that? The catering part? Was that your catering and event business there? Okay.
Yep. That was my catering. So I had, actually, when I was 17 years old, I had started a summer camp for kids with disabilities. And I thought about I love summer camp. How could I do something like this all year round? Because I can't do summer camp all the time. And so I decided to become a teacher. That seemed close. That was how elegant my thinking was at that age, little life experience at that point. And so as soon as I got into the classroom, it really was actually not a fit for me. There wasn't a lot of room for me as a creative person to really thrive in that environment. And so I started hosting dinner parties while I was a public school teacher. Wow. And everybody was like, you don't love teaching, but clearly you love doing this. You should do this all the time. So I started catering parties on weekends while I was teaching school full time. Wow. And I taught only for that 1 year, and then left and went to culinary school, actually got some real training to be, a professional in that craft, and I did a catering company that was basically was elevated private chef work. Okay. I was working in the homes of CEOs for Michael Kors and big companies out in the Hamptons, and doing their private family dinners, doing their small backyard barbecues, doing that kind of stuff. And I started to want to come out of the kitchen. Okay. People started to talk to me about why they were hosting this party, what they were doing. And that just kind of led into me overseeing full events. Yeah.
That's big business here in Toronto. As a caricature artist, I go to a lot of those parties. They hire me as the entertainment for that same party. And I see a lot of that happening now in the Toronto area before the pandemic, of course, where they're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. That's the way people are entertaining now, and it's really taken off for people who are doing that. So kudos to you to figuring all of that out at such early ages. That's amazing. I'm thinking, boy, I'm really slow here. I took my time.
Oh, no. In hindsight, it sounds like I figured it out. At the time, it was like, oh boy, I'm going to try another thing. Oh, I'm going to try another thing. I got really, into my head about because, at that age, I also saw people climbing the corporate ladder, right? Yep. Who were figured out what they wanted to do. And I felt like I was behind the ball. Oh, okay. Now I feel like I'm in the right place, and I've been able to fuse all of my talents and my passions together. But, at the time, secret. It didn't feel like it.
That's the secret. You get to a point in your life where you're able to do that. I'm 57 years old, and I think it was 40 before I started figuring some of this stuff out and kind of putting pieces together and going to where we are. I never would have thought of this at 20, even though I'm telling 20-year-olds, here's what you got to do. And I'm trying to go, okay, you weren't like that at 20 either. So what kind of businesses are you working with now? You've got a coaching, I don't know, do you call it a coaching practice? I always wonder why people are practicing. Doctors are always practicing. When do they get good at it is what I want to know. who do you work with now? What's your focus now? Is it only event planners or people in the culinary, or who do you work with, the creative side?
I work with service-based entrepreneurs. Okay. So, and a lot of them tend to be creatives. Yeah. And so anybody who's looking to take their business to the next level, maybe has been working on the same things over and over, and wants to figure out how to get past the things that have been getting in their way. So I call it a mindful business coaching practice or service. And I do call it a practice sometimes, not always, but I actually do sometimes talk to my clients about that. If you look at it more as a practice, there's never going to be this place that you get to. It's like, I've arrived, because we're always growing. We're always evolving. We're always developing. And I think that doctors are smart and lawyers and calling it that, actually. But anyway, that's a whole tangent we could go down. But
well, anybody holding a knife should not be practicing. They should know it by now. That's the way I look at it. Right?
Yeah. There are some things that are foundational skills, right? But I work with people in holistic wellness, in fashion, in events and hospitality, fine arts. I've got yoga and Pilates instructors. I've got stationers. I've got florists. I've got photographers. Wow. I've got people in theater and all across the spectrum. Yeah. As far as I have worked with musicians, I've worked with a little bit of everybody.
You're like me, and I have so many friends in many of those genres. And that's one of the reasons I started this podcast back in 2017 was artists are not traditionally known to be very good at the business side. They're awesome at their art. Whatever their craft is, they've got that locked down. They will practice that until it's perfect. But the thing about arts is there's always somebody a little better than you, especially if you go to like conventions or stuff like I do for the arts. So it's a struggle for people. And that's why I've always focused on the business and careers for this. I'm interested to hear from you what you see out of all those businesses that you work with and yourself being a creative. What's the one thing that you see as holding a lot of creatives back? Is it themselves? You mentioned themselves, and I see that too. And I can say that I do it myself. As I'm a prime example of that. What do you see as a kind of a common denominator? Is it the fear of scaling? Is it not feeling that you're good enough? What are you seeing in your area of expertise there?
Those are two really big areas, and I do see those a lot. I would say that definitely some form of mindset, whether it is believing that, I can earn up to a certain revenue marker and that I can't get past that. And no matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I push, there seems to be some kind of ceiling set, right? I see that a lot, especially when people are, have been for years working solo and are wanting to have business be a little bit easier, want to spend more time with their family, don't want to be working around the clock, or want to just be able to focus on the parts of their craft that they love doing. And quite honestly, they're at the point where they're ready to turn over some of the admin, some of the things that they don't love doing, but they don't see a way to grow a team. They don't envision themselves as a boss. They have maybe a funny relationship. Maybe why they even became an entrepreneur in the first place was to not ever have to have a boss again. So to step into the idea or the role of being a boss is I've been avoiding that thing for so many years. I don't want to become the thing I hate or that I've been avoiding. So it looks different for a lot of people, but at the heart of it, most people are dealing with some form of fear of stepping into their greatness, fear of pushing through and actually realizing their dreams and living their potential, because we all, as much as we want to achieve that and realize that, also really, really fear missing the mark, failing. Fear of failure is one of the biggest things that gets in people's way. It is one of the biggest reasons that people don't step out and truly embrace their full potential. And when people break through that and they start seeing how easy it can be to produce results, how easy it can be to empower people around them and start being kind of a catalyst for success, that, you know, everybody who shows up in my surroundings gets to be successful and relate to themselves in that way, it transforms businesses.
Yeah. I'm laughing because I think you've been talking to my wife about me. I tell you all the stuff you were talking about. I used to be a supervisor and a boss in charge of a team. And I keep saying that we've been in business for 14 years and we have no employee. My wife handles all of the admin and she's got a translation business as well within our business. And I'm all the production and the marketing. And we kind of work well that way. And I'm not really looking to take on team members. Like people keep asking me all the time, like, you need to expand. I go, no, I don't want that. I had that before. It was nothing but a nightmare having employees. I always say I'm a good entrepreneur. I'm a terrible manager. I like the entrepreneur part of life. So that's funny that you've mentioned all of that for sure. So you talk a lot about core strengths and stuff in your programming, and I'm interested, what kind of tips can you give someone to evaluate their core strengths and know what it is that they should be working on? How do they evaluate that? How do they even look into that?
Yeah. So I work with my clients through a process where I say, like, stop being a guest. And actually, this is something that happened in my own business, where as an event planner, I was looking around at what is everybody else doing to get business, right? As entrepreneurs, like, we're very often like kind of in a frenzy to market ourselves, to get the word out so that people know about us. How do I, right? So we take all the online courses, we read all the books, we visit with all the gurus, right? We try a little bit of everything, go to the seminars for our industry. What's everybody else doing? And there's a lot of looking out there for answers, right? Yeah. Instead of looking right inside for what feels right and what resonates for me and what are the things I want to be talking about, and just consistently having that conversation, whether it's on one platform that just feels like the right one for me, or across multiple that I'm really excited to be exploring, and just consistently having that messaging. So I believe that when we really slow it down, when we really trust ourselves, when we're very, very clear about the brand experience that we want to provide, what we make available in the world, what differentiates us from what is already on the market, and we consistently talk about that is really what kind of like energetically brings in the right people. They just come into our ecosystem. They want to hear more about it. And then you can be human. I really believe in being social on social media, actually like being in DMs with potential people who are thinking about doing business with you and talking to them and getting to know what they want. What are they looking for, and just being really authentic and making sure that you have the systems and structures in place to lead people through that conversation.
Wow, you're a psychic guru. You're scaring me here a little bit, okay, Andrea? We just met, and you're like saying all the things that I've gone through. I'm famous for taking all of those courses, and I love information. I'm a high school dropout, and now if you go later on in my life, I am a information guru. I listen to podcasts every day. I'm reading and all of that kind of stuff, and I figured this out for myself. I used to follow what everybody else is doing. Start an email list. You got to send out an email a day. I don't even want an email a day for myself. And over the last few years, I'm going to say probably the last 5 years, I've started following what I really like to do and what my path is. And if I don't like getting emails every day, I'm not sending emails every day. My newsletters are once a month, and my podcasts come out at certain times. And I'm the kind of people we've always gotten business. In fact, we turn business away if it doesn't fit with our core, what I'm really good at or what I like to do. Because we're busy enough with what we like to do, we don't need to take on stuff just for the sake of taking it on. And I found that to be a real, and now when people ask, I'll get people, probably because I need a lot of makeup, I'll get people saying, hey, can you sell skincare? You're good with people. I go, no, I know nothing about skincare. I have no love of skincare, and I'm going to be terrible for your business. But if it fits with, podcasting or production or my art business, I'll take a look at it. And if it fits, we can maybe bring it on as a service or something like that. But I've learned to just we just follow our core strengths. And you almost said it word for word. That was amazing what you said there, for sure.
Thank you. And what a fortunate position to be in, right? To actually have enough of the business that you want, that you love, and to be able to look at how I can be discerning. And I think that very often, especially for new business owners, will take whatever, right? Because there's this kind of like fear and kind of like lack mentality where we're just not sure we're going to get the kind that we really want. So I'll do this to pay the bills and I got to feed the mouths. I got to keep the roof over our heads. Yes. Be responsible. Definitely 100%. And at least, on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, check in with yourself and like, look at how you can bring more of yourself to your business and how you can refine what your services are and what your messaging is so that you're attracting the right people. And over time, the more consistent you are in that messaging, the more of the right people are going to find you. Yeah.
I encourage people though, if they are starting to take on everything they can, especially if you're in your first year of business or your second year of business, take on stuff. A lot of the services we do today, I did not even have as services when I started. They're things that I tried. Caricatures, for one thing. When I started, I was doing fine art. I was doing pen and ink. I was planning on being an illustrator. The only thing that brought in money that first year was teaching. So I was teaching art. And through that, I got connections and kept getting asked to do caricature parties. And now I only do weddings and corporate events. I don't even do retail. We were doing 30 shows a year, doing all of these fairs and stuff. And then we looked at our money and go, we didn't make any money. They were fun. We were at 30 festivals over the year, but we didn't make any money. And now we focus just on the weddings and the corporate events. And I do video production just for the art business. That's all we do. I don't, do other stuff. We just got a call this morning. I said, not doing it. If I got to sit out in the sun for 10 hours at a theme park, I'm not even interested. Like, that's not what I do. I do weddings where I know I can be in. So it's funny how that really comes into play. But you need to try that. Like, if I would not be doing half the stuff I was doing now if I had not tried some of these things. I started doing social media for trucking companies because of my knowledge back in 2007. That's how I kind of got into the podcast, article writing, video production world. That was it. It was, if I hadn't done that, I probably would not be here. So it's really important. I'm interested to hear maybe an idea or two. I know you've got a package. I don't want you to give me all your information. We want people to go and find you, but there are a lot of us that are at that point. I've scaled. I'm lucky enough. I have a partner that's working in the business with me, and she's exceptional at email and taking phone calls, which I hate doing, so that it works perfectly. I don't like the admin. She loves the admin. So that's always worked. And that's her background as well. But for someone who maybe doesn't have that, what areas do you suggest people start trying to scale in, and how do they do that? Do we bring on employees? You hear everybody say hire people, and you're going, well, creatives, the work is like this. There's, you may not be able to pay somebody for a month. So how do you handle that? Do you have any ideas for that? I'm thinking of those solo artists or creatives who are at that point to move on to the next level or next step.
Yeah, so it's definitely different for everyone. And I think sometimes the first hire looks like a part-time, like a VA or somebody to take that admin off your shoulders so that you can be more freed up to focus on the creative and do the strategic business thinking, right? Like, I think as CEOs, as founders of companies, as the person who is at the helm, it is your exclusive job to be the visionary. And if you're so caught up in the doing that you can't think about how am I going to grow this? How am I going to get this out to more people? How am I going to impact more lives ultimately? Then it's probably time to hire somebody. And it looks like the things, like, do a little audit, the things that I spend my time doing that I love, the things that I spend my time doing that I just can't stand doing, the things I'm constantly pushing off, right? Yep. If you don't love answering emails, you're probably never making enough time to get to your inbox. Yep. So bring somebody on to fill that gap. Yep. Bring somebody on to hold the space in an area that's not your strength area so that you can do the things that you are best at. I think that when we're filling our teams, we definitely have to have, very much like we have dream clients, or I call them your soulmate clients. We have to have like dream team members, or, soulmate team members. What do we want that person to look like? How are our personalities going to counterbalance each other? How are we going to work together? How are we going to be compatible? What's going to be their strength area, and what are what balls are they going to run with? And what's my strength area? And where am I going to, hold up the vision of the company? And if you're approaching it from that place, you'll be able to easily discern if this is ultimately a full-time or a part-time position, if it's somebody who's going to be a contractor, or if it's somebody who's going to really be an actual employee, if it's something that you can outsource, to somebody who's freelancing with multiple people, or do you need somebody who's exclusively designated to you? And is it actually one role, or is it multiple roles?
Yeah. That's especially with social media. We think, oh, we'll get someone social. I know, Michael Gruber's book, The G Myth, I found was really helpful for me, because he's got a plan in there where you put it all, you do your hierarchy of your company, even if it's just you or your spouse. And, you do that, you're at the top, and then you hire from the bottom. And it kind of really gives you a good picture of, okay, here's the 4 things I'm doing that are the bottom level. Might be social media and something else that I could be. And those, now I know that's the next thing that I'm going to outsource. When we get to a point where I really need to do that, that's the next kind of jobs that I'm going to be looking for. And I found that really helpful. I don't know if that's, do you recommend, maybe you have something that can help people as far as getting that mental picture? Because I think that's the hard thing is, we keep hearing that information. We go, yeah, we understand it, but we can't picture it in our business. Like, I work from home. My wife works, her desk is in the other room. I've got my studio here. It's whoever works for us has to work remote. There's nowhere for them to come to work, right? So I think these are the kind of things that a lot of creatives seem to get in their head, that, I can't go any further than this. Well, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just important to remember that at any part of the journey, we don't have to see all the pieces and how it's really going to work, right? A lot of times we can't see how it's going to happen. And so we don't start taking the steps. But I think if we can almost have a more playful and creative approach to this part of our business, we can be in a collaboration with somebody. And if this time in lockdown has taught us anything, it's that almost anything can be done remotely. Yeah. So if we're open to exploring that kind of partnership and that kind of evolution in our business, then we can find somebody who is, seem like on paper and the interviews that we do meets the requirements of what we're looking for. And then like play around with, okay, we thought this was going to work, but that's actually, okay, let me take that task back. Yep. Now you're going to take this task, right? And allow there to be some give and take, just make sure you're scheduling in time to check in. Is this working for both sides? And how are we developing and evolving into these roles? And how is it helping the business? Like being informed by the data. Like you said, you went back and you looked at the numbers, and these kinds of jobs were bringing in no revenue. Yep. Well, scratch those off the list. Right. And let's focus on, the jobs that are actually profitable and that we enjoy doing.
And if you can make that step, I can tell you, I've got rid of the admin. I do not want it back. My wife is older than I am. When she goes, I don't know, I'm hiring because I'm not taking it back. I'm not going back to my own phone calls or email because I don't like doing it. I could actually give her some more email. I keep the production email, but there's some more stuff that I think she could be doing, but she's busy enough and I don't want to. I like living indoors. So anyways, let's go back to service-based business. What have you seen through the pandemic? I know there's a million service-based businesses that are really struggling, especially in the creative arts. Some have, adapted to promoting themselves online. A lot of musicians are now doing these concerts on Facebook or what have you. But have you any tips for some creatives who are going, okay, like, especially me, like I lost all of my event business. Thank God I had the production, the podcast stuff, because we lost basically 60% of our business with the pandemic. What have you been seeing out there for creatives to help them if there's anything?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like everybody has shifted in some way, shape, or form into a virtual space. Yeah. And I think that there have been, ups and downs to the whole thing. kind of pros and cons, but I feel like this time has given everyone a chance to look at and kind of assess, what have I been doing up until this point? What was bringing me joy? What wasn't? What do I want my lifestyle to look like going forward? I feel like there's been a lot of soul searching for a lot of people. I've seen a lot of people just switching fields completely. And so I think, if you're in that space where you're kind of starting to wonder, how am I going to continue to do this? Because really, what business can survive with no revenue for a year and a half? No business. So, we have to be nimble. We have to transform ourselves. We have to look at the skills that we have and be able to feature them in a new context. And, I feel like a lot of people have actually been called to step into their leadership role that they were kind of avoiding, because I feel like in this time, a lot of people have stepped into coaching and, inspiring and bringing other people along through that journey, because they're realizing how much they've learned in their many years in business. And I think that's incredible, because there are billions of people on the planet, right? I can't coach every single creative entrepreneur by myself. I, would be a mad woman to think that I even could, right? Yeah. So I feel like it, for me, has changed my perspective about competition. I feel like you talk about this quite a bit. Yeah. That, that view that somebody new is stepping into the space, and how is that going to show up for me in my business? All of a sudden, all the business is going to disappear because one more person is doing it. Impossible. Yeah. So looking at our views about what's possible and who we're being in our business, and, kind of meeting those opportunities for collaboration and where we can support each other and lift each other up. And, from the perspective that there's enough business for everybody. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the competition one, because that's something that I've struggled with over the years. And I started a radio station in August last year, just because I love the music. It's part of our trucking podcast, and it kind of brings together this podcast too with the musicians I have on. But one of the things that is, I said that, for this year, I've got to get past this, because I was the same. And because everybody started podcasts, I kind of went, oh my gosh, well, I've been doing them for 5 years. I'm ahead of a lot of other people, but I still, you're still in the back of your mind going, oh, there's another especially in the trucking world. I don't know how many trucking podcasts started, probably 10 of them started since last March. And I've got about 3 of them here in my area. Well, with the radio station, it changed my mindset, because there's so much programming. I actually now have those podcasts as shows on the radio station. So I'm now, and we were friends before, but now we're collaborating as friends and helping each other at the same time, helping the competition. It's a really weird mix, and something that I'm always challenging. And for me, a lot of this is mindset. A lot of the stuff you hear me talk about is because I need the help. It's not because of the audience. It's the host needs the help. And I'm just hoping it could hopefully help somebody else. I know you love to help people else. Where should we go and find you, Andrea? Where should people go if they want to, follow you or get some more information, hire you? I'm sure we could all use your help. It sounds like you're right on the money when you're talking about a lot of these things.
Well, thank you. Yeah, if anybody wants to stay in touch and hear more about these kind of ideas, I have a Facebook group, and it's called the Uplevel Collective. So it's facebook.com/groups/Uplevel Collective, all one word. And yeah, that's where I share lots of tips. I'm in there doing live trainings all the time. I've actually got a 5-day challenge coming up. So there's always an opportunity as a creative entrepreneur to kind of move yourself forward in that space. And I would love to have anybody who's interested.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for your time today. We could probably keep going, but I'm sure you have things to do. And I know I have things to do, but it's always fun. I got into a conversation with one of my musicians friends yesterday. Our interview was 45 minutes, but we talked for an hour and a half. I don't talk to anybody for an hour and a half on the phone, so that was really weird. But we haven't seen each other in quite a while, so it was fun. This was so much fun and so informative. I know everybody's going to really get a lot of this. I'm going to put your links to your stuff in the show notes. And thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to be here. I appreciate it.
The recording has stopped.
Hey folks, are you ready to get started as an artist? Are you looking for a book to help you? Hey, whether you want to start your business out of the gate on a part-time basis, or you want to go full-time and jump right in, this book will help you. This is a book called How to Start an Artistic Business in 12 Easy Steps. And you know what? It's free. That's the cool thing about it, that you can get it free. at cashinginoncreativitypodcast.com. All you have to do is go there, sign up, and you'll get a PDF download that is set up like a workbook so that you can work one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, or you can do it all at the same time. Whatever works for you. This book will work for artists, authors, anybody that's a creative that is looking to use their talent to start a business or career. This is the perfect book for you. It tells you all the things you need. And I wrote it many years ago, but it still works today. So where can you get it? Go to cashinginoncreativitypodcast.com. Enjoy. All right, so that was a great great conversation with Andrea. You can learn more about her at AndreaFreemanConsulting.com. And she's got a Facebook group called the Level Up Facebook group. So I'll put a link to the in the show notes for that. Make sure you click through and join that. That'll be helpful for you for sure. And you know what? If you're a service-based business, which most of us are as artists, I'm hoping that's a way to think. Don't think small. A lot of artists think small. They think, okay, I can't grow, or I shouldn't grow, or, you know what, I'm meant just to be, I just want to do my art. Well, think bigger. You know, you may have to get somebody to help you so that you can do the art if that's what you choose to do. But don't just think about, okay, I'm just going to do this, for the rest of my life. You may want to think about, how can I make this so it grows and sustains you for the rest of your life, even though you may not be doing the marketing or whatever, and just do the art. And that's a great way to do it. So thank you, Andrea, for the great tips. And make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. And make sure you subscribe to the show. We're on all the podcast platforms, so you can find us there and enjoy. I hope it helps make your day better.
Need to know more about your host or the show? Check out your host at bruceoutridge.com and learn more about the show at cashinginoncreativitypodcast.com.